Washington has given its approval of the sale of Israel's Arrow 3 missile defense system to Germany in what will become the largest arms deal in Israeli history. More from ILTV's Steve Leibovich.
In a massive government-to-government military deal, Germany has purchased Israel's Arrow 3 missile defense system. The purchase price is reportedly $3.5 billion. The system was co-developed with the United States, and the deal was contingent on the approval from Washington. That approval now received. Germany has been seeking to bolster air defenses amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine to create an anti-missile shield for Germany. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said, in the eyes of every Jew, there is a special significance to the fact that Germany is relying on the State of Israel for its defense. The Arrow 3 is Israel's most advanced long-range missile defense system, meant to intercept ballistic missiles while they are still outside of the Earth's atmosphere, taking out projectiles and their potential nuclear, biological, chemical, or conventional warheads closer to their launch sites. Work is underway on the development of a yet more advanced system, the Arrow 4. Pentagon approval came just ahead of next week's visit to Israel by U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Mark Milley. Milley will meet with Defense Minister Gallant, IDF Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi, and Milley reportedly is aiming to assess the readiness of the IDF. During a closed-door meeting of the Knesset Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee yesterday, top IDF brass reportedly warned lawmakers that Israeli military readiness is weakening due to reservists' protests over judicial reform.
Experience the power of truth with ILTV News. If you're looking for quality content and captivating visuals, join our news community and become an integral part of our team as we embark on a mission to unveil the real Israel, dismantling the web of lies and misinformation that surround reporting on Israel. By subscribing to ILTV News, you will not only have access to the latest updates, but you will also amplify our message, creating a ripple effect that carries the truth far and wide. Subscribe today and help reshape the narrative. Available on the web, Android, and Apple.
And joining us now to, as always, delve into the pressing matters of the U.S.-Israeli alliance is former Israeli ambassador to the United States, Danny Ayalon. Danny heard of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. General Milley is due in Israel next week and reportedly will be asking about the IDF military readiness. The U.S. is Israel's closest ally and most important strategically. What will he hear from Israeli political and military leaders?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's a very important visit by definition. When an American high-ranking military man comes here, it just emphasizes the great close cooperations that we have, and we do have wonderful cooperation. And here there is a distinction between how the government is viewed here. The Israeli government is viewed by the administration, and you know that there are a lot of differences here, especially when it comes to the internal situation in Israel. But that does not affect the defense cooperation, because it's very important for both countries. I believe that General Milley's visit here, of course, will deal with they're very concerned to see what is the readiness of the IDF. The IDF and Israel is the most dependable, the most important ally of the United States in the region of the Middle East, and taking care of their interest in terms of establishing here predictability and stability. But I believe that there is another aspect to this visit, which would be a possible arms deal, a huge arms deal between the United States and Saudi Arabia as part and parcel of a trilateral, let's say, agreement, Washington, Riyadh, and Jerusalem.
Danny, the Israeli public has not heard numbers on how the IDF has been impacted by the reservist protest. Will the U.S. get an accurate picture? I mean, if there is significant weakening, how does that impact the strategic alliance between the countries?
Well, for the United States, it's very important that Israel stands here ready and able to meet any challenge. They don't need, with all the other hotspots in the world, whether it's the South China Sea, whether it's in the Ukraine, the Russians acting up, they would not like to see any more action that will take away attention from what they see the most important things, the strategic thing, which is their rivalry with China and Russia. So they will want to see here, and I guess with the Americans, everything will be transparent and everything will be on the table. And I believe that, as I see it now, the IDF is ready. It's if there is any kind of challenge in the very near future, the IDF will be ready. The question is, what will happen in 6 months from now, a year from now, if things do not come back to normalcy here?
Danny, on to a major deal. Israel is becoming a major player in European air defense with a giant sale of aero missiles approved by Washington for sale to Germany. Finland made an earlier purchase. These sales are great economically. Do they also strengthen Israel diplomatically?
Oh, absolutely. Today, Israel is a great asset for its allies, whether it's the United States first and foremost, but also the NATO and the Western European allies and Central European allies like Poland as well, or the Czech Republic and other countries. Israel's capabilities in terms of missile defense, in terms of cybersecurity, all these things are pretty much sought out by many of our allies, and the aero deal with Germany is huge. It's the first time that the United States has basically has given the green light. You see, our agreement with the United States is that although we are the designers and the producers of the aero, since most of the money for it and the funds came from the United States, Israel has to get Americans' consent before it sells it to any third party.
And it seems like on many fronts, Israel is doing pretty well, isn't it?
Yes, and if you add to that Israel today also has in its possession, in its economic waters in the Mediterranean, a huge or abundance of natural gas, which also is sought out by Europe and others, then it seems like Israel pretty much is sitting pretty. Of course, we cannot sit on our laurels because the challenges are huge, especially from Iran and Hezbollah, local terrorism by Palestinian terrorist organizations. But yes, we certainly have a lot to show for.
Danny, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, Amit.
Intel has pulled out of a mega $5.4 billion deal to buy Israeli Tower Semiconductor. The chip giant will pay $353 million in compensation after reportedly failing to receive an okay from Chinese regulators as required by the contract. ILTV's Steve Leibovich has more.
Back in June, Prime Minister Netanyahu announced that Israel had inked an agreement in principle with the U.S. semiconductor giant Intel for an unprecedented investment of $25 billion to expand its chip manufacturing facilities in Kiryat Gat. That would have been the largest ever international investment for the country. But now, Intel has pulled out of the mega $5.4 billion deal to buy the Kiryat Gat-based Tower Semiconductor, and the chip giant will be forced to pay $353 million in compensation after reportedly failing to receive an okay from Chinese regulators as required by the contract. For nearly 30 years, Tower Semiconductor has been manufacturing analog semiconductor chips. Intel said its respect for Tower has only grown and said they would continue to look for opportunities to work together in the future. It would have been Intel's sixth acquisition of an Israeli company. Intel employs 11,700 employees at its 3 R&D centers in Haifa, Petach Tikva, and Jerusalem, as well as in its manufacturing plant in Kiryat Gat. Intel creates indirect employment positions for about 42,000 workers in Israel.